Robert Plank Show, episode 38. Sell a complete course. How's it going? This is Robert Plank. We're going to talk today about making some money on this thing called the internet. There's a lot of ways to make money on the internet, but unfortunately I can't help you with every single possible way to do it because a lot of them are fads, they come and go, things like that. The best way I know of making money online that starts out quickly and gets sustained is doing this thing called making a product, selling a product, and even more than that is to then grow it into what we call a membership site so that it's very easy from there on to maintain. And if you want to find out more about that, you can go to, and you should go to, and I think you will go to, a site called IncomeMachine.com. That's IncomeMachine.com. That's an all-in-one course. So we show you how to do everything from getting your website online to set up an opt-in page, sales letter, set up a product, create a membership site, put a blog out there for traffic, do different other traffic techniques like video marketing and article marketing. And you know what, too, is a lot of people focus on the cutting edge stuff, right? The new exciting stuff. I'm going to do this viral thing on Twitter. I'm going to get a bunch of likes on Pinterest and Instagram and things like that. Those are all great things, except for those don't mean anything unless you have that base system in place, right? I mean, what's the point of having 100,000 Twitter followers if you ain't got nothing for sale? What's the point of making a handful of $1 sales of your Kindle books if you don't have something bigger and better like a full complete course to sell them on later on? That's what today we're going to talk about, is sell a complete course. So what do I mean by a complete course? Well, when I got started, I used to trade my skills, my time for money. And that's a perfectly great way to get started and get that initial income. And in fact, you can sign up at a site. It's not my site, but it's a really cool site called Fiverr.com. That's Fiverr.com. And I mean, you go there and people will do all kinds of stuff for $5. People will write articles for $5. Whoops, people will send you text messages for $5. People will do things like they'll say, well, if your site's broken, then for $5 I'll go and do it. People will say, I'll read your audio scripts and I'll do an audio voiceover or video or things like that for $5. And so you might look at that and say, oh, geez, I don't want to work for $5. But here's the thing, is that there are these things called upsells, right? And so let me just kind of look up one of my friends on Fiverr. Let me search his username. So, I mean, what's really popular on Fiverr, I mean, just to use an example, is are like, videos and voiceover. And so this guy, he's, I mean, I don't have permission to use his name, but he's one of my favorite people on Fiverr. I'm not sure if he listens to this. He could, but basically, you look at this thing, and so for $5, he will record a 60-second audio or video for you. So you think, all right, well, that kind of sucks, right? I don't want to do that all day. If I want to make $500, I have to record 100 of those. Well, it's even worse because Fiverr takes $1, right? But this guy, he says, okay, well, I'll do a 1-minute audio or video voiceover, but you have to provide the script. So think about this. If he wakes up in the morning and there's 10 of these orders, right? So for $40, he just puts in 10 minutes of time, or maybe a little bit more than that, but just back to back knocks him out $40. That's okay, right? But the whole secret to this thing called Fiverr, I mean, this is not going to be a podcast on Fiverr, but the whole secret to this thing called Fiverr are these things called upsells, right? So I'm going to his page, and it says things like, well, if you want to make this a 2 minutes audio or video, then now it's $10. So now it's a total of $15 for 2 minutes of work. Kind of cool, right? He has things like, if he's going to script it out, it's $20. If he wants to add background music, which takes him 2 seconds, it's $10. If you want to do a rush upgrade, it's $10. So what usually happens for me, personally, is when I'm paying someone on this site called Fiverr for things like, I've had people make songs for me or do videos, things like that. I never just pay them the $5. I always go for the upsell. And so that's just really how a lot of things are with internet marketing, is people don't want to, don't want to put in the work, so to speak, right? Because they think that it's so much, but it's like, if you only knew the one little secret to it, which is this thing called upsell, well, then you wouldn't have to. You never just get paid $5, right? You always get paid $20, $30, $40 for what's, under 5 minutes of work. And so, this guy, he's had 3,800 buyers, and he's actually even done a voiceover for our Plank show in the past. And guess what? I've hired him on this thing called Fiverr. And so, I mean, that's a great way to get started. And I even got started doing that for $600 or so at a time. And it would take me about a week to work off that $600. People would say, I want to hire you to program such and such for me. I would go and program them, a website or a plugin or things like that. And then that was a great way to get started. But what I realized was, I was getting kind of bored with that. And sometimes people would pay me to make a product for them, a plugin for them, and then they wouldn't go out and sell it. And I thought, man, that's such a waste. You just spent $600, which was like dirt cheap pricing, and we're going to turn around and make $6,000 or $60,000 out of that, and you just kind of let it die and let the domain expire, and then totally forgot about it. I thought, man, I could do way better than that idiot, so to speak, right? And so that led to this thing called making products. And I realized that, I noticed that people keep having the same need for a certain kind of plugin, right? Like they all needed a pop-up plugin, or they all needed a commenting plugin, or they all needed a quiz plugin, right? All these fancy things you see on these different sites. And so then I realized, I could kind of combine these into a cool package, and then say, for this one, either you can go and get someone to make a custom job for you, because at that time a lot of these programs weren't very easily accessible. Either you can go and have someone else code this for you, or just buy my package. And then it works out for everybody, because everybody can just get this. They don't have to wait, right? They all get it right away. It's cheaper than if they had to do all this back and forth and someone had to bill all their hours. And it works out for me because I can set my own rules, right? I can say, here's a package of computer programs. Here's the plugins for your website. Take it or leave it, right? You can buy this thing, and then if you want to go and take it to another programmer, they can beef it up. Or if you really want to hire me, now I'm charging even more to then beef up those plugins. So that was cool, and then that led to a lot of the courses and things that we sell now. Like we have Membership Q that teaches membership sites. We have Webinar Crusher that teaches how to run this thing called a webinar. We have Make a Product that teaches how to publish on Kindle and CreateSpace. We have Dropship CEO, which teaches how to ship in products from thrift stores, like physical goods, and sell them on Amazon. So all these really cool things, but here's what happened. Was that, there is a low barrier of entry to that kind of thing, right? I mean, if you already have a pre-existing skill, if you can teach somebody how to trade the stock market, flip a house, play golf like the pros, then what do? Well, you just figure out, and it's easier for me to think of it as a class. Like if you were teaching someone like a college course or a summer school course, and it had to be 4 modules, well, then what would those modules be? And if you only had, 1 hour to teach this to somebody or show them a few things, and then the bell was going to ring, and then that was it, well, then what would you cram into that hour, and what would you leave out, and what would you give someone as like an assignment for between classes, things like that? Well, now we're kind of getting somewhere. And so, the thing that we're going to talk about today is selling a complete course. And before we get too far down the rabbit hole, I'm going to just give you the 8 things, and we'll unpack them in a minute, right? So this thing called selling a complete course, having a digital product, making money from a membership site where someone can go and they say, I want to learn about how to, hit my golf ball better. They see a web page that says, there's this 4-part course that you can buy right now on how to make your golf game better. They pay you money. It gets processed over the internet using their credit card. They go to this page, they create an account, they can log in, and they see basically a dashboard of these different video modules they can click on. And they click on, say, module 1, and it says, all right, well, here's all the equipment I use to play golf. Here's how you go and find a driving range, and here's like some of the quick start things you need to know. Now here's a video of me just going you through, and here's how to just play a pretty good golf game. So it's like right now, if what you do as far as golfing is you keep tearing up the grass, man, what? Maybe I should have used an example where I know something, right? But if you say, well, right now, all you can do is tear up the grass. You can't hit the ball or keep hitting the ball in the water. Well, here's what you might be doing wrong, and here's, when I play a normal game, here's what I do. So you could do an hour and that and some quick cuts or some quick clips, and you say in module 1, all right, I'm going to teach you how to play a pretty good golf game. And then you can say, well, module 2, we're going to focus just on accuracy. In module 3, we're going to focus just on distance. In module 4, we're going to focus on just more of this advanced stuff, but you can kind of get people to move up further and further. So this thing about having a membership site, an online course, whatever you want to call it, it's so cool because it's bigger than an information product, right? Because someone pays you money, and it could be even $1,000, let's say, and then they get these videos, they get these things, and you don't have to do any work to earn that $1,000. You might have made that course a year or 5 years ago. So we put out these different courses, and there's 8 things that I figured out along the way. They are: number 1, eat your own dog food; number 2, have a magic trick; number 3, set an end goal; number 4, milestones; number 5, coaching upsell; number 6, templates; number 7, checklists; and number 8, case study. We'll unpack all those in a minute. What we realized was, well, I would sell a course, say, on how to make money with video sales letters. That was called Video Sales Tactics, right? We put out a course called Speed Copy, which was how to create sales letters that make conversions and things like that. Sales web pages that make money. We even have a course on how to do exactly what I'm doing right now, on how to make a podcast. You know that for free you can make your own podcast on iTunes? Well, you can. Well, I mean, it's not, the course itself isn't free, but once you get in the course and we show you how to do it and you get all the tools, you can literally go to iTunes, to Apple, and you can just publish a podcast for free. You can publish 100 different podcast shows for free. You could host podcast episodes for other people, but it's all explained inside of podcastcrusher.com. And so, speaking of all those things, what I realized pretty quickly early on was that people started copying me, which was fine. I mean, no one's original on the internet. We all see something that's working, and then we all kind of model it on our own. But some people gonna copy a little too closely, right? Sometimes I look at a web page and I'm thinking, man, this guy's smart. This is awesome. I'd buy this. And I think, oh, crap. And then I go and pull one of my web pages side by side and say, wow, I have a course on podcasting, and this person just almost identically knocked it off. And I mean, that's one of those things that happens, but it got a little annoying just because, even to the point where it became like week to week, there were certain individuals where every single thing I put out, like if I put out a course on article marketing, they'd put out a course on article marketing. If I put out a course on membership sites, they put out a course on membership sites. If I put out a course on copywriting, they put out a course on copywriting. So it was really funny, but it's interesting how those people really couldn't keep up. Once we moved our business to software, once we did these things called pitch webinars, and once we moved the actual courses we created into membership sites, whereas before I might have said, here's a quick report on how to make a web page, how to make a sales letter. Here's a quick video on how to create a membership site. But now it's this whole course dashboard kind of thing. And so the first quick thought for today is that no one wants to buy just tips or tidbits. If I said here's a few tips on how to hit your golf ball farther, well, that's something that might go like on like Facebook, right? Or on BuzzFeed or in a magazine or things like that. That's just kind of little tidbits here and there where you can explain it all in about a minute or 30 seconds, but it's not taking you start to finish. It's not really solving a problem. You know what I mean? You might be like, well, here's 8 things you might be doing wrong, and maybe you'll pick up 1 or 2, but it's not really fixing anything. That's where a product, that's where a membership site comes in, and that's what makes it so cool because you can make a list of 8 things people are doing wrong with membership sites, 5 things people are doing wrong with webinars, and that could make a nice little blog post or an article, but you're not giving away this big meaty $1,000 course that you're selling, if that makes sense. So quick thought number 2, I don't know why, but the other day this book kind of popped back into my head called Freakonomics. I haven't even thought about it or read it in years. It's basically these 2 like statisticians, these math nerds, looked at things in everyday life and why they were based on statistical analysis and math and things like that. And they looked at things like, like there's a daycare where they started charging people a late fee, and then in order to reduce the number of parents that were late picking up their children from this daycare, but adding the late fee actually increased by a huge amount the number of parents who were late picking up their kids. So they added this rule thinking, okay, well, if we charge people money, then that'll hurt, and then they won't be late. But then the parents said, well, hey, if now I can just pay these people to take care of my kids longer, then now I don't feel bad about being late. And so, I think I might have mentioned them in another podcast, but it's been a long time since I even read that book. And what kind of came back to me lately was that one thing they said was, well, they also study gangs and gang members and things, and they realized that the average gangbanger makes $3 an hour. Okay? I mean, less than a waiter, less than a dishwasher, $3 an hour, dealing drugs and committing robberies and things like that. $3 an hour with a very high mortality rate and zero health insurance. So why in the heck would anybody work for $3 an hour? Well, it's the actor mindset. It's the same reason why would anyone go to, say, Los Angeles or New York and try to become a famous actor when the odds are so small? Why would anyone buy a lottery ticket when it's like, well, cool, this is so exciting, I could become a millionaire? Yeah, but if you look at the odds, it's like if you bought a lottery ticket every single weekend for something like 70,000 years, then after 70,000 years, you'd have a 50-50 chance of even winning. So it's one of those things where, well, why do people do it? Well, because the idea is exciting that, well, I still have a chance. It's not a 0% chance. It still might happen. And so with actors or gangbangers, they're all looking for one big break. They think that if they put in the time, or if they suffer, or if they make sacrifices, then one day they'll all see, and then suddenly overnight everything will be different. And the reason I bring this up is because with a lot of internet marketers, and you know what, by the way, internet marketers, not to get off on like a tangent within the tangent within the tangent, internet marketers, I'm talking about people who set up websites and who are making money online, right? Like, I mean, I sell software. That's what I do. We have a platinum student who is a plastic surgeon, and he uses the internet to get more clients into his practice, things like that. So when I'm talking about internet marketing, I'm saying even people who publish on Kindle books, or even people who make money putting out YouTube videos, those are internet marketers. They market on the internet, right? And a lot of them are looking for that one big break. They think, you know what, I'm just going to keep on cranking out articles, even though I'm not making any money, but someday I'll have my big break. I'm going to keep on blogging because I heard that one person made all this money from blogging, and maybe I'll luck out. And you know what? You're not just going to have one big break. You're going to have several small breaks, and that's what happened to me, switching from, when I first was hired to program for people. All right, I made some first initial money. When I made my first few ebooks, well, cool. When I made my first few membership courses, well, cool. And there were always problems along the way to solve when we solved them or found a way around them, things like that. But it's not going to be either suddenly an overnight big break, and it's also not going to be, well, this one month I made $100 in that month. Next month I'm going to make $110. Then I'm going to make $120. It doesn't look like that either. There's these small jumps you're going to come across either way. So I mean, with all that being said and all that, I know I kind of make fun of people who they think that pumping out YouTube videos is going to be what gets them noticed, right? Gets their company bought out as if it was the .com bubble, right? Or putting all this stuff on Twitter, or making all these podcasts, or all that, and just that alone is not going to cut it, because that's all traffic generation. And what's also scary is that a lot of these guys who, let's say they've built their business on YouTube, if one day YouTube says, sorry, you're out, sorry, we're going to shut down your whole YouTube channel, then however many tens of thousands of dollars a month that was gone. So what makes a lot more sense to me is to use those things like YouTube, Twitter, podcasting, articles, Kindle as what they are, as traffic sources, right? Posting on Facebook or having a Facebook fan page, running Facebook ads, those are all traffic sources that need to go back to what we call your income machine. And an income machine, like we said, is you figure out a niche, figure out a hook, make a website, put up an opt-in page, have something for sale, have a follow-up sequence so that if people opt in for free, become one of your email subscribers, then that system can follow up with them. Add in what's called a blog so that people who are searching around the internet, who are searching for how to improve their golf game, be able to find one of your golf tips on a blog and then go to that blog from like a Google or Facebook or an affiliate or something, end up on the blog, sign up for your list, hear about your product, and then end up buying from that product. Then you make a membership site, then you do all these crazy traffic things. So, I don't know you personally listening to this, but I know that you probably have some kind of a skill that you could teach other people. Because here's the thing, I hear about people who maybe they'll have like a startup idea in mind, right? And they say, okay, well, I'm going to make a service, and everyone in the world will use it to publish their websites. Everyone in the world will use this to, I don't know, to organize their email. And that sounds really risky. That sounds like maybe you'll spend 5 years on it, and then someone else will make a clone of it, right? Or maybe that requires you hiring a lot of programmers. And so a safer bet is to teach information, right? To teach somebody how to make money in the stock market, if that's something that you actually know how to do. And that takes us to that first component of selling a complete course, is eating your own dog food. It sounds kind of nasty. It's a programming term, meaning that if you had to eat dog food, you'd make it pretty nice, right? Because you would actually have to eat it. And so many, and actually I would say all of the membership sites and courses that we put out are based on things that we actually do. So think about this. If you can, and I mean, this is getting into a little controversial area, but every now and then I'll see someone come out with a course, and I think, wow, that sounds really interesting. They put out a course and saying, well, here's all my screenshots of how I make money just publishing articles out on the internet. And I say, well, awesome. If you make all this money publishing articles, let me do a search of your name. Oh, you got 2 articles, and they were published 5 years ago. Or someone says, well, I make all this money from Amazon and from Kindle. I think, okay, well, great. I'm going to search your name, or even like what books you put out, and then I find 1 or 2 books out there. So I'm thinking, but you're claiming to make $100,000 a month from 1,000 different Kindle books. So where are your Kindle books? And I know what the excuse is. I have a pen name. There's books you haven't heard about. Okay, great. Or even a more recent one is people will put out different courses on how to do different things with Amazon.com, right? How to do web stores, how to do fulfilled by Amazon, which means, selling actual like physical items and shipping them out and things like that. How to make money as an Amazon affiliate, all these things. And what really confuses me is some of these guys, when they say, well, okay, I make all this money from Amazon. Okay, great. I believe you, right? Here's all my income. Great, I believe that too. But then they say, okay, well, here's the product I sell, and then the whole thing's blurred out. I'm thinking, what's the point of you showing me this if the entire screen's blurred out? Or they'll say, well, here's what we did is we took this one product and we got it to #1 in health and beauty category, right? So they say if you go to Amazon and you go to the health and beauty category and it's #1, that's what we sold. But then they show me a screenshot and everything's blurred out except for a line that says this product is #1 in health and beauty on Amazon. I think, so they're making so much money on Amazon, and they want to show me how to do it. And I guess I can kind of understand they don't want to have competitors or things like that, but they blur out literally everything. And I mean, and the other thing too is, I mean, me and Lance have a course on Amazon, and we sell physical things on Amazon, and it's tough to break into a top ranking. And once you are broken into that top ranking, it's tough for anyone to come behind you and force you out of there, just because the way if you get a certain number of reviews and a certain number of sales a day and all this stuff, like there's this momentum with that, and it just seems kind of silly that someone would blur out someone would say, well, here's this top selling item, and blur it all out, and then I would go and actually literally go to health and beauty, because they'd say, well, this hit #1 yesterday, and I go to health and beauty and the top 10 products are like Revlon brands, or like a brand where it's like, there's no way this is your product, because this is like a brand that's been around for 50, 100 years and sold in every Target and Walmart. And so, I mean, there's silly things in there like that. And I guess the point is, if you sell a course on Amazon, do you have to be someone who eats, breathes, and sleeps Amazon and only does that and does it 24 hours a day? Well, no, I guess not. But you probably should do some of it, right? If you're selling a course on Amazon, you probably should have something for sale on Amazon. If you're selling a course on Kindle, can you at least show me like a book that you have under your name on Kindle? If you're selling a course on, articles, can I see articles that are recent from you? And so, I mean, this relates to you listening, because, I mean, let's say that your niche is golfing. Well, then wouldn't it be a lot easier to make a course and teach golfing if you actually golfed yourself? Because then it would just be almost like, it wouldn't necessarily be like a security camera footage or a day in life, but you could just kind of break down what it is that you do and then just teach that. So eating your own dog food means that, well, if you do something, then it's really easy just to go back and and just show people what you're doing instead of having to invent these different things. And it almost writes itself. So if I'm selling a course called Speed Copy and Copywriting, well then maybe and this ties back into number 8, which is the case study, but if I'm already writing sales letters and things like that, then I can just kind of break down my process, my system, my formula, my steps, whatever you want to call it, and then explain the steps and then actually do something that I would have done anyway. All right, so whatever it is, whether it's Amazon, Kindle, golfing, stock trading, real estate, whatever it is, if you do it yourself and you have your own unique twist on that, then it's easier to show what it is that you do. And I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I guess I will. Selling on Kindle, we have a product about that called Make a Product, or I guess I should say we have a membership course about selling on Kindle, and it's actually something you use, and I used it today, and we use it every week, and it's basically this whole system of, if you want to put out a book, well, what do you need, right? You need to have the inside of the book written, you need to have a cover made, and I guess that's about it, and maybe follow a list of getting that book put onto Amazon. By the way, also for free, Amazon just takes a percentage, but you don't have to pay Amazon any money to put your book on Amazon. If you didn't know that, imagine what else I can show you inside of makeaproduct.com. But the point is that we would put out books, right? You can publish a physical book for free on Amazon. You can publish a digital book on Kindle for free on Amazon. And so this was a process where if I needed a new book, I had to remember, okay, well, I need to go and hire this one person on Fiverr to get the cover made. I need to remember to look for these certain things. And when I make the inside of the book, I have to speak it all out and remember to have it in this structure. And then I have to go through this other process of having someone else listen to it and type it up. And so it made a lot more sense to just make like checklists and templates and things, and then put it together in a logical order that made sense to me. And if it made sense to me, it would probably make sense to other people as well. So eating your own dog food, it almost writes itself. Have something that you do and teach what you already do, because then you don't have to invent anything new. Imagine that. But moving right along, the second thing I want to tell you about selling a complete course is to have that magic trick, because, well, let's stay on the book publishing thing. Is publishing a book really that exciting? I don't know. It could be if you found the right hook. Is shipping items to Amazon's warehouses? Is shipping, kitchen supplies and beauty supplies and things to Amazon's warehouses so they can then sell them for you? Is that exciting? Well, it can be if you position it as, well, here's me just doing this in a short amount of time and getting a big result, a big amount of money, right? Because when we think about publishing a book, no one wants to think about making their grammar correct and slaving over the manuscript for 12 months or formatting the margins and things like that, right? That's not interesting. But what is interesting about publishing a book is saying, well, I've got a really cool idea. Let me go through this process to flesh it out and make myself excited about it. And the other process to just speak out the book in under an hour and then pay $20, and now I have a manuscript that would take anyone else a year to make, but I made it in 1 hour plus $20, and then I went and uploaded it, and it would take someone else maybe another year just fumbling around on Amazon trying to figure out what to do, but because I went through this checklist, maybe it took me 10 minutes, and then cool. So in an hour plus $20 plus 10 more minutes, now I'm published on Amazon. Now that is really freaking cool, right? When before it would take years. Let's say selling physical items, right? You think, well, what's the old way people would do things? They'd sell things on eBay, right? They'd say, well, let me go to the flea market, let me find a few knickknacks for $5, and then let me sell them on eBay and wait for the auction to end, and then they sell for $6. But then after shipping and after they take out the fee, I'm really only making 10 cents for everything, and then I have to pack stuff in boxes and fill it with peanuts and tape up the box and go to the post office and wait in line and do shipping. Man, I mean, at this point, gangbangers making $3 an hour sounds really exciting. But if we say, well, here's what I do is I have a process. I go into a certain kind of thrift store. I load up the shopping cart with these certain things, and then I go and I pay for it really quickly, and then I go home and just toss it all in a box, ship it all to Amazon, and then they handle the selling it to each individual person. They handle having it on a website, they handle traffic, and basically the rough math with, if you do this right with Amazon stuff, is that basically you double your money, right? If I know that if I can go to a thrift store and I use the process we explain at dropshipceo.com, and I don't deviate too much from the checklist and the criteria and things that we have, I know that if I spend $200 at a thrift store, I'm going to turn that into $400. If I spend $500 there, I'm going to turn that into $1,000. And so if I take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to go there and pick out the stuff, well, then is it worth to double $500 into $1,000 from 30 minutes? Well, then yeah, it is. That's way more exciting than packing stuff in a box, weighing stuff, and taping it up and waiting at the post office. So see what I mean? Is we're looking for something cool that really, I guess, like pushes the envelope, or is just like the cool demo. So think about, like, say when like everyone goes for the demo example, like iPhone has Siri, right? Or Billy Mays chops up vegetables. Or even when GPS first came out, right? If you want a handheld GPS, if you had that in like 1995, and you could just say, give me an address, type it in, okay, cool. Now here's the exact route to go drive my car. That would have been freaking amazing. And so in our courses, we're looking for some kind of a magic trick that only takes 2 minutes. And so, I mean, for the magic trick for, say, for Make a Product, for publishing a Kindle book, we'll actually do a demo on video where we will put a book on Amazon right then and there and say, I'm going to reveal to you all these steps, and there you go, boom, now a book's on Amazon Kindle. And heck, while we're at it, click another button, now it's on Amazon CreateSpace. So in our Income Machine course, which shows you how to, make a blog, opt-in page sales, and all that, what do? We say, well, let me just set up all these components, right? All the technical, geeky stuff. Whereas before you'd have to upload files and edit stuff and put in plugins. Let me click a button, and then boom, here's our clone for all these things already set up. So have the magic trick. Now, number 3, so these all kind of tie together. Number 3 is have that end goal. We said before you don't want to sell golf tips, but you also don't want to have the golf encyclopedia. We don't want to have to keep adding in and adding in and adding in video after tip after interview. A lot of people think that the business model of having a $10 a month site, people join and pay forever and ever, and just load it up with 10,000 members, they think that's sexy, but it's not. It's the opposite of sexy, because every week or every month or every day you have to keep racking your brain for new stuff, and it's such a tough sell to get people to join, and they leave quickly. It's way more exciting for me to just make $1,000. You just say, here's this package, it's just the one payment, $1,000, boom, instead of trying to convince them to pay $10, and every month their credit card bill gets hit and they have to justify staying in, and then their credit card expires and we have to get that back. It's easier to say $1,000, right? So you fix all this by having an end goal, because here's the other thing too is, I mean, we all have the self-confidence issue, right? We're all worried about going bankrupt before we even spend our first dollar online. We're all worried about our download bill being humongous before we even upload one file. I know. So you think about what's the end goal, right? And this helps once you know about the course you're going to sell, what the end goal will be, what the big, bold promise is at the end. This boosts your confidence. Because if I say, well, of course I'm nervous about selling someone a course on Amazon Kindle. Of course I am. But if I say, well, look what happened when I did this. Well, me not knowing too much about, book publishing or things like that, I went in and did these things and then put this on Amazon, and the first day made something like 3,312 downloads in 24 hours of this book. Well, cool. If I don't know that much about the radio kind of stuff or like audio preamps, but if I did this checklist and made a podcast and put out these episodes, I can pull up a screen and say, well, look at these 40,000 listens that led to this, and that led to this number of sales. That's the big result. That's the end goal. And so what's really cool about having the big result and the end goal is that if you're heading towards an end goal, you know when you've gotten there, right? And so if our course is on how to get published on Amazon Kindle and promote it, well, then we know when we've gone through those 4 milestones, right? When you planned your book, spoken it out, got the transcript and cover made, and then published it and sent it to free directories. Well, cool. Those are the 4 milestones that took us from point A to point D, right? Not just point B. We go from point A to point B, point C to point D. There's 4 steps along the way to wherever we want to end up, whether that's podcasting, membership sites, Kindle, whatever it is. And so that's number 4 in selling a complete course, is have milestones. We don't want to sell golf tips. We don't want to sell the golf encyclopedia. We want to say, you want to get to this point of being pretty good at golfing. And so if I were to break down the 4 most important things, they are these 4 things. And now that you have that structure you're kind of trapped into, then now all you have to do is fill in the boxes and just fill in what you can manage to cram into those 4 milestones. All right? So pretty self-explanatory. So selling a complete course. Eat your own dog food, have a magic trick, an end goal, milestones, that's where we're at right now, and let's just breeze through the final 4. Coaching upsell, templates, checklists, case study. These are all pretty simple, and they all kind of, I guess, reveal themselves now that we have those 4 other pieces in place. Okay? Coaching upsell. So pretty simple. I said it a few minutes ago that I got my start programming, making plugins for people, but it made more sense for everyone involved, from me and the buyers, to just make a pre-packaged thing already, right? It's like you wouldn't go and hire someone to engineer a cell phone for you. You just go and buy a damn cell phone, right? But if people want something extra, if they buy our course on how to publish on Amazon, and they just don't want to deal with the whole process. And maybe if they're really stuck and they say, I really want to make a book, but I want some extra help, and I want to bounce some ideas off you guys, and I need help figuring out the outline. And what I just want to do is I just want to speak it out and just give you guys the audio, and you guys go out and get the cover made, and you get the manuscript made, and you just put it online for me, and I'll even give you my login to Amazon, and just to put it online for me. I still want the book to be mine. I'll still speak it out, but you tell me what to say, and then I'll say it, and then you guys do the rest. So think about that. If you've been stuck for years making a book, and it's been 5 years or longer, and you could have been a published author for the last 5 years, and you could have had 20, 30, 100, 300 books by now, isn't it worth just throwing $1,000 at the problem just to fix it now when you should have fixed it 5 years ago? Well, I think so. And think about this too. If you were selling a course on golfing, and you said, here's my videos on golfing, and you said, well, you know what, if out of every 100 sales, if just one person wanted to pay me $200 just for a 1-hour consultation, or $200 just for me to film myself golfing, and they were going to go and do freeze frames and mark it up and things like that, would that be worth it to shortcut years worth of trial and error, or maybe to get past the point where they never would have gone? Well, of course it is. So it's really easy. You sell a course on membership sites, say. Someone pays $1,000 for that, for videos and plugins and all that stuff, and it's all worthwhile. And then you can say, if you need any extra help with your membership site, here's a button for $500. We'll meet for 1 hour, and we'll fix whatever's wrong. If you want to have some custom stuff done, if you need help figuring out your niche, if you need help figuring out traffic, if you're trying to figure out why people are quitting, $500, we'll meet, we'll fix it for you. Coaching upsell. So just something where you do have a course for sale, and it is a complete course on its own. That's very important, right? We're not leaving things out just to get more coaching sales, things like that. No, we're saying, here's the process, here's the course, here's the videos, here's what you need to do. But if you need extra help, or if you're an advanced person, or if you like how all this looks but you just don't have time, you'd rather I do it for you, it can't hurt for you to just put an extra button there for, say, $500 for 1 hour just to meet and fix whatever their custom problem is. Now, number 6, templates. So we don't want people to get stuck. I mean, I know that it almost seems like, well, wouldn't I get more extra sales? Well, not in the long term. I think it's really important to have a complete course. It just makes everything way easier, way simpler. If you buy our Make a Product course, when you buy our Make a Product course, I'm assuming you've already bought our Make a Product course on how to get a book on Amazon Creates, which is their physical books, and Amazon Kindle, which is their digital books. You have everything that you need in there, right? And the coolest thing about that site are templates. So here's what I mean is, so as part of that process, you speak out what you want in your book, and then you go to a site. We use a site called odesk.com to get that transcribed, and there are certain things that I put in what's called the job description, the job listing, so that I actually hire the right people. When I create the audio that's going to be transcribed, I encode it in a certain format just so that everyone understand, like it's just so that it's like the industry standard. It's what people are used to working with. So these are all things I'm using. And so this way people don't have to ever get stuck and say, wait, well, what bit rate do I encode my audio at? Or, what do I put out as that job listing? We just say, fill in this one word in the template, fill in your name, fill in the file name, things like that, and we'll tell you what category on the site to put this in. We'll tell you what to list as your job description. We'll tell you what to list as your deadline, like the time and date that the work needs to come back. We'll tell you what to list as the amount of your budget you're willing to pay for this job, all of that stuff. We're not going to just leave you hanging with generalities. We're going to say, we show you these videos and explain all this stuff, but when it comes time to actually do it, just grab our template and go with it. A checklist. So this is really cool too because, well, a good example of this is Podcast Crusher. Because I don't know if you're out there, you know what? I'll just say it. You should have a podcast. Whatever it is you're doing, I don't know what niche you're in, I don't know what even led you to this podcast, but something led you here, right? Whether you did a Google search, iTunes search, my blog. And you know what? Can you even email me at roberts@robertplank.com and just tell me how you found this podcast? I'm kind of curious. So there are a few steps that it takes to recording a podcast episode and putting it online. I'm not just talking about getting it set up and submitted to iTunes, but when you think of an idea for a new episode, there are a couple different steps. Not a lot, but it's easy if you didn't have an exact checklist to miss a few steps. Because, I have to record it. I need to add in music. I need to do what's called tagging the file. I need to produce it in a certain size and bit rate. I have to upload it to a file hosting service. I have to put it in a blog post. So there's a few steps in there, and I don't want to miss any steps. So what did I do? I made a checklist for myself, but then put it in our Podcast Crusher course. So think about that. Now when I go and if I need to publish a book, I log into our Make a Product course. If I need to publish a podcast episode, I log into our Podcast Crusher episode and just go down through the checklist. And sometimes I'll add or remove things from the checklist, what makes sense to me. So if it makes sense to me as someone who podcasts a lot, well then it'll make sense to someone who's creating a podcast for the first time. And finally, number 8, the case study. This brings everything together. And, just case study on its own, I don't think that would make a very good course, to be honest. Because people need context. If I was just going to say, well, hit the record button. Okay, here I am, making my podcast episode, uploading it. That could make a nice bonus, or that could make a nice switching to when we're doing examples in a course, but people still need the meat of it. They still need to say, okay, well, here's why a podcast is important. Here's what you need to know personally. You answer these questions. Then you take these actions. Now you answer these other questions. Now you take these other actions. And now that you've seen the whole start to finish process when it comes to thinking of a podcast episode, planning out your time, recording it, using the headset microphone, saving it in this format, tagging it, uploading all that stuff, now that you understand all those pieces together, then we just show you in 10, 20, 30 minutes how I do it. Here's how I'm going to plan my podcast, record it, put it online, and then boom, now it really reinforces those things in that complete course. So sell a complete course, just do it. You can join us at incomemachine.com to get all the pieces in place, including your .com name, your web hosting, your email autoresponder. By the way, most people don't have an email autoresponder that follows up with prospects and buyers. And if you do, then now you're way ahead of most other marketers. SEO blog, membership site, traffic, all that stuff, incomemachine.com. So sell a complete freaking dang course, all right? Do it already. Eat your own dog food. That was number 1. Magic trick, that was number 2. Have an end goal, that was number 3. 4 milestones, that was number 4. Coaching upsell, number 5. Templates, that was number 6. Checklist, that's number 7. And a case study, that's number 8. I'm Robert Plank. We went over time again, but I don't care. I do what I want. I set my own rules. I make my own money. I work from home. I hope you do as well. But remember, all that fancy stuff that a lot of people talk about, YouTube, Twitter, podcasting, that's all great as long as you see it for what it is. It's traffic to go back to your income machine, your opt-in page, sales letter where you have something for sale, and the membership site where someone can then buy from you and get access to that back-end course. So thanks for listening. It's the Robert Plank Show. Go to robertplankshow.com/iTunes and give us a 5-star rating or whatever kind of rating you want. Leave us a quick review. I always appreciate it. It helps to boost us in the listings. And go and join us inside of IncomeMachine.com. That's IncomeMachine.com. I'm Robert Plank, making money online in the Robert Plank Show. Thanks for listening and have a great one.